بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ثم أما بعد يقول الإمام الشافعي رحمه الله حتى تكون أسعد الناس اجعل الفرح شكرا. Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah gave us some golden words or golden advices. He said, in order for you to be the most happy or the happiest person amongst the people, اجعل الفرح شكرا. Make your happy moments a way of showing gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. والحزن صبرا. Make your sad moments a way of patience for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالصَّمْتَ تَفَكُّرًا. Your silence, make it a way of reflection over the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالنُّطْقَ ذِكْرًا. When you speak, make it a way of remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالْحَيَاةَ طَاعَةً. And your life, make it a way of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَكُنْ كَالطَّائِرِ لَا يَهْتَمُّ لِغَدٍ وَلَا يُؤْذِي أَحَدًا. And be like a bird who doesn't worry about his sustenance for tomorrow and staying away from harming anyone. Let's take a look at this advice. Shukr, sabr, tafakkur, dhikr, ta'a. Each one of those advices involves one of those things that shows a form of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Gratefulness, patience, reflection, remembrance, and obedience. So in order for you to be the happiest person, deal with those. They all have one thing in common. They all in the Salah. All of those in the Salah. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I did not create human and jinn for nothing but to worship. Some of the scholars said, إِلَّا لِيَشْكُرُونَ. They're created to show gratitude, shukr. So ibadah is shukr. And he said, make your life shukr, sabr, tafakkur, dhikr, ta'a. All in the salah. Hadith of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari. جاء رجل إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال يا رسول الله ذكرني وأوجز. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ, as Abu Ayyub al-Ansari reported, radiyallahu anh, he said, ذَكِّرْنِي أَوْ كَلِّمْنِي وَأَوْجِزْ. Give me a reminder, talk to me and make it short. You can make a condition with the advices sometimes when you talk to people, with the condition that you understand the command if it is short. So the purpose of making the talk short or the khutbah short to fulfill the sunnah is conditioned with the audience understanding it. So if I come and I say, for instance, in a khutbah, I give you a hadith, then I say, كَفَى بِالْمَوْتِ وَاعِدٍ. Sufficient reminder to remember death. Aqim as-salah. What do people go home with? But Imam al-Qurtubi rahimahullah said this is more than enough. But that's for people who can understand and reflect and have the basis and understand the language and all of that. Most of the people who ask the Prophet ﷺ are Bedouin, and they are the most eloquent in the language. So make it short. I don't have time. I got to go and work. But I need an advice. He's coming to him. قال صلي صلاة مودع صلى الله عليه وسلم. Pray like this is your last prayer. يلا مع السلامة. That's it, you know. The Imam stands 1,000,000 times and tell you صلي صلاة مودع. 90% of the people did not know what he said, and the other 10% did not reflect on it. Just like the Imam standing in front of you and saying, straighten your lines, come close to one another and everything. It's like a recording that wakes up no one or hardly anyone to really follow the command. It's just like, oh, he's gonna, that's routine thing to say, where you're supposed to take it dead serious. Imagine when the Prophet ﷺ passes by the line and somebody's gut, not feet or anything, is off the line, and he taps him on the gut so he can swallow it or move back or do something so he will be straight. Imagine if you come and you tell people, you look at the lines and you think the lines are going to make the line straight. No, they will not. They get you close to it, but it's not sufficient. The point I'm making is we get programmed to the words and we stop thinking about it. Because it's like, this is what he's going to say. He says it all the time. Come and ask a person, what was he talking about? And you probably heard it hundreds of times. You would not know about it. So it's not in how long the lecture is. It's who are you addressing and how much message you want to pass to people. He told him, Salli salat muwaddi', pray like you're praying the last prayer. And the last prayer means that you're going to die. And the prayer is the best thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes. And the prayer is the first thing you'll be questioned about the day of judgment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not say, show me your zakah, show me your charity, show me your fast, show me your good manners, as we dwell on good manners 24/7. And we have zero care for salah and zero care for tawheed and zero care for sunnah. And we make it sound like as if the person have good manners, mashallah, mashallah. Is this a religion? No, it's not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you about the salah. Therefore, this is your last salah. You want to make sure it's accepted. طيب. Let's look at a scary hadith that scares everyone. يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الرجل إذا صلى الصلاة فلم يتم ركوعها ولا سجودها لفت كما يلف الثوب الرديء فتلقى في وجهه وتقول ضيعك الله كما ضيعتني. In one hadith, the Prophet ﷺ tells you how much of your salah is accepted. He said ثلثها, 1/3, ربعها, 1/4, نصفها, 1/2, سدسها, 1/6, ثمنها, 1/8, عشرها, 1/10. And in this hadith, the salah will be taken and wrapped like an old piece of cloth and smashed in your face, and the salah will say, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala perish you like you have ruined me. That is, when you don't do the ruku' properly and the sujood properly and the way the command that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us in that salah properly. If we comprehend that when we come to salah, we come to a meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Picture yourself, you're going to apply for a job and you're meeting the president of the company. How well you prepared, how much you practice, how good you smell, how well you dress, all of those things to get a job. And who gives you the job? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who makes it happen? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And yet you're doing all of that for a human being. But when you come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're not prepared the least. So you're coming to a meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As soon as you say Allahu Akbar, session starts. Now you're in session. No phones, no thinking of dunya. As some of the scholars said, when you take this hand and you go Allahu Akbar, it's like you're putting the dunya on the back of your hand and throw it behind you. Now focus on what's before you, and who's before you? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Focus there and throw the dunya. No phone, no thought, nothing. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, you started the move. You made the move. If you make the move, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to make the move. He will not make the move for you. If He sees goodness in you, He will help you make the move. But you have to make the move. Prophet Muhammad said, if you make the first move, لو تقرب إلي عبدي شبرا تقربت إليه ذراعا. If you make this much move, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make this much move for you. So you started. You said, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks back, because you're telling Him, thank you Allah, you are the Lord of the universe. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say to the angels, Hamadani abdi. My servant is appreciating what I'm doing to him. And then the conversation continues. So when you make the ruku', you reflect on Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. What does that mean? Why you said Azim? Why it's not A'la? Because Azim fits. Great people bow for them, they don't make sujood. That's why you are not supposed to bow to anyone. I don't care if you want to play Kung Fu or not, you cannot bow. Yeah, but Sheikh, there's no intention. Intention, if there is a command, is cancelled. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says something is haram or your intention is so noble, it doesn't mean a thing. Because there is a command that tells you, don't bow to anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at your head. You can't go like this to a human being, and you cannot go like this on a human being. This respect and greatness only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this arrogance, you don't do that. وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا. Don't raise your head and look like you are it and no one there is worth anything. So, you do that in ruku'. In sujood, you cannot get lower than forehead on the ground. That's the most noble part of your face. On the ground. To whom? To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're there, all the way down there. Who do you think of? The highest. Who's the highest? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you glorify Allah the highest from the low situation or the low position that you are in. And that's why there, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, make that dua, فَقَمِنَ أَن يُسْتَجَابَ لَهُ. This is a place the dua will be accepted, because when you are so humble and you feel the humility for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you see His greatness over you, He subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you what you want. That's why we make the dua, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, ask anything in your language, the way the Prophet ﷺ did it, anything in the sujood. So the point we're making here is salat muwadda. You are thinking, you are reflecting, you are showing gratitude, you are talking, you are listening, you are taking the proper stance and position, as the Prophet ﷺ said, فَإِذَا رَكَعَ أو فركع حتى تطمئن راكعا. Make ruku' until you feel serene. It's not like as soon as you go, boom, you spring back up. فإذا رفع أو ارفع حتى تطمئن قائما. Raise your head or your body until you're perfectly erect. أسجد حتى تطمئن ساجدا. Make sujood until you feel that your body parts settled in that sujood. Then come up